Okay, so for week 8, we're going to do a problem set from CS50. And in way of getting ready to do that problem set, I'm going to have you do a little coding challenge related to the new data set that we're going to acquire, the new database. Okay, so in this case, I've given you a link to the instruction, which is the same as the problem set, but when you open it, what you will see is that we're going to do a little something in attendance. This is not the code challenge. I just want you to do this setup because of something that's coming in the future. And it's just good to do this. So what we've been doing this whole time as we acquire new databases is we've just been tracking them, and we don't really need to, partly because it just adds more size where we don't need that size. But in this case, I'm just going to have you go ahead and add something to the get ignore and actually give you the exact steps to follow here. And it's very important that you actually do these specific get commands. But the first thing you'll do, and I'll just show you this, is in the database file, or sorry, in the get ignore. So I have my code space open, and that get ignore, if for some reason you don't see it, you'll need to create it, but I think I've seen it in most everyone's code space. This line, star.db, is added to the end of it, okay? And so once you add that, then what you would do is complete, and you have to specify this specific file, unlike what we've done in the past where we've done a star or a wildcard. The get ignore, because it is a different type of file, requires that. So then you do a commit message and then you push. Okay, so so that's the process you need to do before you do anything else. I did put this last one here because I noticed after I did this and I was doing the version control workflow, I did get a message that said, "Hey, if you do want to add things you're ignoring, you could put a flag on your ad," I think is what it meant, but you can also just disable it. So just be aware that, and I will probably just do this so that I no longer see it going forward. Okay, so that's the first step, is to do that. And now with the new data set. So now you're going to create a new folder, PS1, okay, and it's going to be at the same level. So let me just show it to you, right? So we already had PS0, so this is problem set 0, this is problem set 1. And then inside of 1, you're going to add packages, okay? So packages is another subdirectory, and now that in that subdirectory, so now you change to the packages directory and you do this command. And if you've done the above step correctly, you will actually notice that your packages is a little darker than your other files, and that's because it is no longer being tracked, and it will not be over in your GitHub, which is the idea of ignoring them, okay? All right, so now you create your week 3 query file, copy a previous one, remove any queries, and update for this first part to be the proof of work to be proof of work -ds, right? And so the first thing you'll do is just write some things we've seen before, which is basically display tables and the schema in the packages. So these are commands we've seen before, but I'm kind of testing to see how well you remember. Okay, so this part of it is just kind of getting some output from the table, from the new database. So then write query. So this, right, and you'll have one commit, and then we'll actually move into the actual code challenge. So we're kind of doing a little setup here. So write queries to output all the columns of each table, and you'll see how many tables are in there with the first 10 records, right? So look at the number of tables that you'll get in here. Write a query to output all the columns in the first 10 records, and then make sure you do .print to describe each query, right? And then once you have correct output, then do the proof of work and the get workflows and do new database, okay? All right, so then comment out those queries. And let's now move on to the code challenge. So for this one, you're going to create a README in your packages folder, add a heading 1, attendance coding challenge, and then a heading 2 for each problem, because you're going to have 5 problems that you're just going to write. And these aren't necessarily problems, they're just things I want you to write queries for. Okay, so I'm doing this also to get you back used to that during weeks that we do problem sets. Your README file is your proof of effort. And remember, you use these backticks to actually have your attempts, right? Because this is what I'm looking for. Your POE file, which is really manifest in your README file, that's where that work is done, is showing me you authentically tried this work and then didn't just go out and get an answer somewhere. Now I put in here you can write regular queries or static queries or subqueries, but I think you can do all these with just a regular query, okay? This last one, probably of all these, the last one may be a little more challenging, but totally doable. Okay, so so first write your first query, right? So retrieve all information about drivers where the name is Derek from the drivers table. Okay, so then, and you can see this here. So after each one, after you get it written, right, you do the POE. So if this took you a couple of attempts to write in your README file, I should see that. Again, the reason I'm doing this is to get you used to what our work looks like this week. Okay, so get your first one done and then do your commit message, right? And so now you'll go do your next one. Now count how many times Derek performed a pick action. And if you're not sure what that is, go look at the output that you had above and you'll start to see this. Now I'll go over the problem set as we get into that part of it. But for this, they're just getting to know the data. So performed a pick action in 2023 from the scans table. Okay. Count the number of resident addresses in the addresses table. Count the number of business addresses in the addresses table. Actually, it could just be address. No, addresses make sense because it's more than one. Okay. So again, write each query, get it working, do the workflow and do it. Now for this one, it'd be query 2, right? And then query 3 and then query 4. So the last one is to count how many times each type of content appears in the packages table and list the content along with their counts, sorting them from most to least common. Now, what I've done here, and it can sound complicated, but I'm actually going to show you what the output looks like because that's what I provided here, right? So this would then be, and I should definitely see a couple of attempts on this one, right? It's not that it's super duper hard, it's just you have to put a couple of things together. So if you want to look at the link I've provided, what you will see is the output you would expect to see. So this is the output of the last one. So the number of, so there's your count, your contents sorted, right, by most common to least common. Okay, so this gives you output of what you would expect out from that query challenge. Okay, oh, I'm going to hit back because I gave an external link. All right, cool. Now, I will provide you the solution in a minute, right? But I want you to try this, okay? So that's your code. So before you watch the solution, now this week, I'm not providing the solution in here. You'll actually have to hit a reply. And in your reply, right, 70 points for completing the code challenge and 10 points for posting here, right? So I really want to see effort. So this is what I'm going to look at. How much effort did you put? Your POE file is going to be really important to me. But of course, I want you to get the right output as well, okay? And then 10 points for posting here, and your post here is about your experience, like tell us how well you did on the challenge. And then 20 points from replying to one student. Okay, so again, after you hit reply, you do a post, then you'll be able to see it, but really give this some effort because this is like, in a sense, I think of this as calisthenics to get you ready for your first problem set for problem set 1 in learning how to solve problems with our new skill set of relating. All right, talk to you later. Hope this helps. Ask if you have any questions.